It is 12/19/2025. At 1:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be Director Brian Knight. San Andreas State Marshals, call sign 0495. Excuse the coughing on the recording. I'm cold is getting to me. Springfield.
Jessica Springfield, 020, the San Andreas State Marshal's Office.
And Justice Sean Danielson for the Department of Justice.
I'm just going to go ahead and Mirandize you one more time. At this time, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you by the state. If one is available, if you understand your rights as they've been read to you today.
I do.
All right. Just for sake of openness, transparency, there's no right of arrest here. I don't think there's any particular charges that would be pressed on you there, Sean, but the Miranda is there just as a formality's sake, right? The reason I wanted to sort of open up this line of questioning is this is not the first time I have. So prior to, we were just having a conversation pertaining to nominations for the Chief Justice. Is that correct?
Right.
As a part of that conversation, you had presented yourself as a option. You were advocating for a nomination to me. Is that correct?
Correct.
At some point towards right before this recording, is it accurate that I asked you why wasn't your name brought up as one of the nominations when the DOJ has 3, but only 1 has been selected? Is that correct?
Correct.
I then said, then you said something to the effect of, well, that's not really my choice. Is that correct?
And
if not, please clarify.
Yeah, so to give a more specific wording, to rescind the current nomination, and because I proposed well, actually, the actual proposal I gave was to do an internal vote, and then if it differs from the current nomination, then to rescind it and then redo it. But as it stands, I am outvoted.
So the reason, so this is a bit of a interesting topic, and rather openly why I'm not a huge fan of SASM even participating in the nomination process, because it makes it very awkward. We are entrusted to oversee government agencies, this, that, and the third, and being having to be a participant in this process puts us in a bit of an awkward scenario, right? You come to me asking about a nomination. Transparently, I'm very open to it because I want to see more options on the ballot for many people to vote on. But now we're in this circumstance where I have to also investigate that there is no foul play taking place in this process to begin with. Be it electioneering, this, that, and the third. And maybe there's nothing wrong, but maybe something is, or maybe there's ignorance. I don't know.
I could speak openly on this.
Please, please.
So originally, before the nomination went up, I conceded just out of it makes more sense at the time. It made more sense for Grayson, because obviously he's saying that he's talked to the warden and Fred, and they're going to be putting him up, and just to push him forward. At the end of the day, like regardless if it's me or Grayson, the motif per se of the department would stay the same, outside of like different nuances that differ between me and myself and him. And at the end of the day, like we all still work well as a team. You know what I mean? So it's not like, I wouldn't say that there's any like sort of foul play going on. It's just more so I decided to change the heart. And I've had people close to me as well that are like almost mad at me for not running.
So and even my usage of the word foul play, I think, is a little extra compared to I think where my concern may derive from, or in and my concern is more of a there needs to be a assuredness in the election process as underlined on the city hall, right? We have a set of terms. My understanding is that came from the state, and sometimes the interesting thing about law is sometimes it comes down to opinion, right? And sometimes things may happen that happen out of ignorance, misunderstanding. I mean, there's only so many lines of text that are in the process there. And so I don't want to say that there's wrongdoing, but I should at least explore whether or not there are any same mistakes that may have been made. Because I do find it somewhat concerning. So I'm going to give you my personal opinion, right? Absent exploring the details.
Sure.
If you, as the DOJ, this is my personal opinion, right? Not a federal justice, right? But my personal opinion is that if you, as the justices whom make up the DOJ, come to a conclusion, that is your conclusion, right? And whatever means by which you come to a position as to what the DOJ, whom you represent on an issue, whatever your position is, you present it. And if that was a vote, it's a vote, right? However, the question comes up is the docket notes that y'all are can put up forward up to 3 nominations. And while you might vote to put a individual up, to vote on only putting a individual up, and throw away 2 of your nominations, I think in some lenses may be seen as undermining the election process, right? It would artificially skew votes, right? It would artificially remove the ability for another nominee to make itself present. And in this case, you're one of those individuals that is now suffering from it. So and that's my opinion, right? I, once again, to make it clear, I don't speak on behalf of the state, right? But I think that is a valid position and a valid concern that should be explored prior to the voting process. And if it does not, then it may affect future elections. It may very well be currently affecting the current one, right? So, I just want to make that clear on the recording where I'm coming from here. Why? So, and because this process isn't finally detailed, I'm going to ask some like sort of exploratory questions. Firstly, am I correct in saying y'all did a vote to simply choose one at the time?
Yes.
And it was a conscious decision to pick one rather than 3?
Yes.
Was that so as to focus more votes towards one nominee as opposed to spreading it across 3?
It's not so much to do with the votes. It's just he's the person that we wanted to put forward at that time.
Was there any other reason? Because logically it would make sense. You vote for one, or you only put one nominee up. That inherently prevents split voting. Was that at any point a part of the thought, like the conversation?
For me, personally, internally.
For you, that was a part of the equation internally?
For me, yes.
Okay. Was that a discussion had amongst the judiciary when making that decision?
No.
So how did you conclude on a singular entity versus the many. And once again, I'm making it very clear this is fucking awkward as shit.
Like, what do you mean? Like, one versus what?
Well, like if the conclusion of the vote was that we're going to put a singular nominee up, right? How did the conclusion on that, like, who formatted that vote, right? That we're only voting on one. What was the format for deciding the three nominees? Did you discuss that?
It was, yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't really like, to be honest, it wasn't a super deep discussion in that, right? It was kind of just like, who wants to go for it amongst us? And Grayson had not only had already been campaigning, but he was the one that said that he wanted to go for it. I said I was considering it, but then like yesterday, I kind of just said I'd rather not.
So
And that was before
because Grayson was already going for it, who put the vote up? Like, who was there a conversation prior to a internal, let's say, ballot being placed?
It's hard to explain. Like, sorta. It wasn't like anything. It's kind of been a conversation for like since the nominations have been up of like who wants to go up, and obviously the others two haven't really been around as much, so it's kind of just been me and Grayson talking about it.
Yep.
But then we had a meeting about it and then talked about it.
And so in this meeting, you say who wants to go up. Who made the decision that it's going to be just one of you?
Because there was only just one of us at that like yesterday when we like before the nomination went up, it was just Grayson because I said that I didn't want to run anymore.
Understood. And the reason I'm posing the question like this, and I want to make this very clear as well, is I am not going to make a judgment whether that's okay or not, right? But I think it's fair to question whether that's appropriate, right?
Right. From my perspective,
I don't know the answer to it, to be clear.
So just from my perspective, I see it as I officially stepped away from wanting to run, and then we agreed to put just Grayson up because he was the only one that wanted to run. Me flipping like late last night after just sitting on it and wanting to do something else and talking to people that are around me and my friends and family, and they're kind of like, hey, you should run. Me flipping after that, I feel like it's on me to go outside of the department and rather than just flipping the vote, because I in my opinion, me trying to push for like even just asking to rescind the nomination, I feel like is kind of wrong, because if it's like obviously it's like sort definitionally selfishly motivated, right, to see if I can get the nomination via a vote amongst others. But I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like it's on me to go outside of the department at this point. If it's something that I want to run for, and I got to go outside of the department and get those nominations. Like, there's 4 other people other than us that still haven't put up a nomination.
It still begs the question, why are you not allowed to put your name up when you're quite literally a fourth of the highest level of the DOJ? And let me pull up the verbiage here. Once again, this is very exploratory because, look, I'm going to be iterating this probably quite a bit, including when I'm questioned about it. I don't like SASM having any part to do with any of this because it's more important to me that this process is done right rather than have a say in it. In the event, all parties have 1 week to submit nominees for a Chief Justice. The internal decision-making for those nominations are decided internally by each faction. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says Department of Justice can nominate up to 3 names. So internally, y'all collectively decided that there will be only a single nominee.
Yeah, when we voted on it, it was just a single nominee.
May
Okay.
I clarify?
Please.
The decision making for how this was it decided between just the justices, or were other judges and magistrates involved in this discussion?
Just the justices.
And so just the justices themselves decided that just the justices will be able to make this nomination. Is that correct?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Knight.
Yep. So I'm going to go through like each of the clauses on the posting. The internal decision by these nominations are decided internally by each faction. Now, the decision for how this is done was done internally, as Jessica asked, by the justices, right?
Right.
And the decision was to only nominate a justice. Is that correct?
Right.
How? So it wasn't. So am I correct to say? And I know this sounds very pedantic, but it's intentional. It wasn't just, hey, do you want to nominate Grayson? Yes or no? It was, do you want to nominate exclusively Grayson? Yes or no?
Well, it was
because they're 2 different decisions, right?
right. It wasn't as fluid as how you're putting it. It's more so just like, who wants to go for it? I conceded in that conversation and said that I wasn't going to go for it.
So did you
And
have an
then-
internal vote to only nominate one person?
Not necessarily.
So
It's just that Grayson was the only one that was up for it.
what does that mean? Okay, but okay, so are you seeing where I'm going with this? It's a compound question that led to only Grayson going up. One
Right, and
is
that's
whether
why
or
I'm
not
trying
we
to-
will nominate Grayson, and whether or not it will be exclusively one nominee. And
right.
from Mhm.
That's why I'm trying to say, like, it wasn't like we're just gonna do one, we're just gonna do Grayson. It was just like Grayson is the only one, so we'll just put him up.
On that matter,
but how is that posed?
You-
Sorry, just one
you
second.
say that
How is that posed exactly? Like,
What
what
do
was
you
the format of this decision making? Was it like an internal email vote? Like, was it like a yay nay in a room? Like, what was the process for that internal decision?
It was just like a sort of internal discussion of like who wanted it, and then if we heard from anybody else.
And Grayson's the other one, and you guys said yay.
Yeah.
So, was there ever a decision to make it exclusive?
No, not specifically.
So, why can you not put your name up?
I think it's more so just out of the way that the posting already is, says that like that we're only putting up Grayson.
But why would the posting say that when, like, that's not, what was agreed on in the meeting, right?
Right.
Like, why not?
Well, it's like I said before. Like it's from like this is me coming to you for this vote is out of like I feel like I need to go elsewhere because I've already conceded within the department to not run.
Do you understand where I'm going with this, Sean? Like, I know you've conceded on
100%. That's why I'm trying to say. Like, I
are
don't
they
think it's
preventing you
deeper-
from going up? Is it a social concern that you're concerned here with, or can you officially not run?
No. It's a social thing.
Or do you
Like, I
believe
don't
you're
wanna-
gonna be looked down upon if you do that?
I just don't want to. I don't know what's. I don't think I'm going to be looked down upon. I mean, and not that I would care too much. It's just like we've made a decision already, and then going back on that, like, it's not a great look, right?
But I thought you guys never made a decision on exclusivity. I thought the decision was
No, it's
just for
not
Grayson at the time, right?
But I'm talking about like having the posting, right? The way that the posting is worded, like like and it wouldn't be crazy for you to see it go up, but like anybody else, it would look wrong. This is, and again, this is not anything that anyone else has told to me. This is just my like. I don't want to fuck with the optics of it.
I see. Okay, no one is preventing you. You just don't want the optics to look a particular way.
Right.
Why would you have that? Why would you feel that? What is leading you to feel that way?
That's just my thought process myself.
May I ask a question?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I want to explore the process a little bit and the decision making. When
It's
y'all
not
were
as deep as you
discussing,
think it is.
No, I know. When they were discussing the decision on who to nominate, was a general consensus that y'all would only nominate from within the justices, the 4 justices? Or were there considerations for external parties?
Well, so nobody had spoken to any of us about it when we've kind of like been like, hey, has anybody said anything about it beforehand? I know I've had just like a couple conversations, and I know there was lawyers who were curious about the process and tried to give them insight on it, but ultimately nobody came forward with that. But yeah, no, it was just like who's expressed interest. It was me and Grayson, and then I was like, I'd kind of just rather not.
And so none of the other judges or magistrates or lawyers came forward with a general discussion about interest in obtaining a nomination or even running?
Not to me at least, I would say. It's just more so I got from Atlas, talked to somebody, and they were like a lawyer about the process, like what the process is for it. But that was like, God, it had to be like Friday, somewhere around there.
Okay. Go ahead, Director.
I understand you're saying that it's not too deep, but as a outside observer, it is concerning if
No,
one of the justices
I meant
feels
the
that they're
conversation that we had wasn't like super detailed and deep. That's all I mean.
and
I don't mean like the.
And I get that, right? But if there is a social barrier preventing one of the 4 justices putting their own name forward for a nomination when the DOJ can put up to 3 is a matter of great concern, because in the same vein that it would be a concern because like social pressures are still they come from somewhere, right? There's tends to be a source for it. For example, there is a strong social pressure for me to pick the most popular individual. Otherwise, you have a bunch of who lose their shit because they can't imagine a world where someone doesn't win 99-1, right? I don't think you have to deal with that necessarily, but there may be social pressures of one of y'all winning, right? And that may come from just basic conversations. you know, or the vibe that might be in a room, or the inferences that could be made. And that's not necessarily illegal, but it can still be concerning. Am I making sense, or am I
No,
sounding
100%. And
gabagool right now?
no, that makes sense. And like I said, I don't think it's anything for me externally. Like it's like my thought process and how I think about it. Like feels like it doesn't shake right, if that makes sense. For me to like want to like me as a justice, like jumping on and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be one of the three. You know what I mean? For me, that doesn't feel optically right.
And I get that. Look, like, for example, I think it's optically wrong for the director who oversees everyone to be having a strong voice, which is, you know, why I'm going to nominate someone that's not up there and wishes to go up and let my command do the voting, and I sit back because there needs to be a law enforcement head that is just not touching any of this. I don't like it optically. And I want to just dig this just a little bit here. Faulkner posted, the Department of Justice has decided to endorse a singular candidate with all three of its nominations, and the candidate is Nathaniel Grayson. That makes sense at the time of posting. But why do you feel as though you can't be like, hey guys, I want to do it too? Have you at least posed that?
No, I haven't.
Under fear of internal or external optics?
Just really external. I mean, so like a part of the conversation when Grayson's nomination went up, right? Before, well, like the conversation we had before we actually put it up. Like even like Grayson himself was like saying like for me to run, and I just didn't, like, I wasn't there for it, you know what I mean? And I just continued to concede on it. I just didn't, like, I voted to just have him get put up. But like there's never like internal pressures of like, oh, you can't run. Like it was always like gonna be like, until I conceded, it was gonna be both of us, right? And then until Falconer conceded, it was gonna be all three of us.
Why did you initially concede?
I was in my own little headspace and didn't think I'd have the energy for it.
Understood.
But then like people, like my friends and stuff, saw the nomination and were like, you didn't run, and were talking with me like most of the day and were like upset with me about doing it and like kind of talking me into like going for other nominations.
Has anyone else within the DOJ, did they have a means by which to put themselves forward among the justices? Like a judge or a magistrate?
Yes, I would say. I mean, like I've asked the people who have been around, like Roman and Angela. Obviously, they're not interested because they don't feel like they want the position like that. But like we haven't cut. Well, I haven't cut anybody off, right? I can only speak to what I've done, and I haven't like not had the conversation with people to be able to be like, hey, you can go for it, because obviously the scope of who can run for it is pretty open.
So if hypothetically a lawyer, a judge, or a magistrate wanted to get their name up, what internal process would be utilized to evaluate whether or not they will be put forward for a nomination?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think we'd have to figure out like how we'd want to put that together.
Like I can't run.
With
That's, it's good to
what do you mean?
ease into it,
Yeah. Gentlemen, if you could give us the building for just a little bit.
Of course.
So nominations end, I believe, Sunday.
Right.
Monday, sorry. Monday at 1 p.m. And so is it accurate that no one has yet within the DOJ come forward other than now yourself to put their name forward?
To my knowledge.
But there is no processy by which they could do so?
I mean, we're open. Like I've been open to conversation, and I'm sure Grayson has as well.
When I
Like said, I
say
can only
when I say process, like, I'll give you an example. I am going to determine who Sassam will nominate. My command will determine on their own accord how they choose to vote come election time. That's our process. I am dictating that as it is my right to do so in this position. That's our internal process. And the reason I put it as such is it's clear, it's evident. There is no, it's documented. So if there isn't one that the DOJ has, then how would one know to engage in it? Because they themselves may then be affected by the same social pressure that you may.
I think it comes back to like what I said earlier about giving information to, because there was like I said, like lawyers had talked to Roman, and then I talked with I talked with Norman just a little bit because he was talking about how Angel was going forward for it. But giving that sort of information of like, hey, if you're interested, just let us know.
Okay, that has been advocated out.
Yes, to my knowledge.
Is there it verbally or like through a email or?
I said it verbally.
I
don't know that it's been written down like that.
It may be worthwhile doing. And this is advice, right? Because you don't want to get yourself in a position where someone wants to do it and they cite social pressures and they cite, well, no one ever talked to me. It's why I love recordings, right? We live in Sean, we live in San Andreas. People are fucking not, they're pretty abnormal. So you can say one thing, people will fucking lie about it, right? And they could be the nicest person in the world, and just because they're cute and smile, people believe that shit, right? It's probably not something the DOJ wants if someone were to do something like that, right? Makes our job difficult too, right? Someone comes to us, and then maybe what if they start complaining, and they're like, well, we're not being allowed to do this, and then what leg do you have to stand on at that point? It becomes hearsay.
100%. I think, yeah, I definitely think there could be better steps taken to document the process.
Yeah. Written. We also in Sassam, we're very much pushing forward that when we need things done on official capacity, we are going to be giving notices. And there was pushback initially. People were afraid, like, to quote one generic example, I'm not going to do that unless you order me to, because I rather have a conversation. But me being significantly more tenured and seeing how politics has been in San Andreas, I know very well that a conversation is never enough. You need documentation. People shouldn't feel a certain way just because an official document or order or stance is presented. It's simply a way to ensure through notary that another party has received the notice, and there is no room for hearsay, bullshit to enter into the realm. or into the conversation. Anyways, I thought this was pretty fruitful. Jessica, do you have any other questions?
No, at this time, no.
Right. Any questions from me there, Sean?
No, I don't think so. Honestly,
All right.
as long
Fantastic.
as you guys understand where I'm coming from, it's not like like internally they're like, no, you can't run. Like that. The general feeling is like it doesn't really matter, right? Like if someone wants to run, they can run. If not, not. But for me personally, I just don't want to have to cause a rescinding of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Just on my own to like basically change the posting that's up there.
It wouldn't be a rescinding though, right? Because to be clear, because you would simply have to state that we're putting an additional nominee up. Like this isn't some like official, like legal statement that Faulkner made. Simply said, hey, we're voting for a singular person. For him to state, you know, we're adding an additional, hey, Sean is now running, we're putting him forward, is not like in any stretch of the imagination, at least in my opinion, would be any form of rescinding. People like, I mean, if we even using like conventional like,
that's, not that I disagree with you. I didn't see it like that when I was thinking about it.
I understood. I understand. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and pause the recording here at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.